In today's video, we're going to create this in After Effects. We're going to cover how to do rotoscoping, and on top of that, we're going to create this 3D carousel effect without using any 3D layers, and we're going to create a realistic handheld camera shake to a static shot, so stick till the end of the video. Alright, we're going to start off by dragging the main footage inside the new composition here, and we're going to duplicate this, Control D, duplicate it. And we're going to rename this to Roto. Set this to a full resolution. Double click on the Roto layer. And we're going to grab the Roto brush tool and we're going to brush it. Okay. So we're going to make some room here. You can increase and decrease the size of the Roto by holding down Control on the keyboard. Click the left mouse button and you can drag your mouse. That will make the brush bigger and smaller. Okay, so let's make it big, and I'm gonna paint the roto. As you can see, if I paint on the subject, it's green, which means I'm going to select the green areas. So it's selected like that. I can refine it, so I don't want this part. The way you're gonna do is hold down Alt, and once I hold down Alt, you can see that you see a red brush, and if you paint on that, it's red, which means it's going to exclude this part. So if I release that, you can see here, and I'm going to zoom in, make it small again, hold down Control and make the brush smaller, and I'm going to refine this edges. You don't have to be super precise about this. You can just go on. Let's include this. All right, let's zoom in here. Hold down Alt, and I am going to exclude this part. All right, once you have the rough selection, you can just zoom out, and you can just hit the space bar, and it will start to trace this.
A few moments later.
Now that you have the roto layer, you can hit this freeze, and we're gonna wait.
6.5 hours later.
All right, once you have that, you can close this out, and you can come here, and if you shut off the eye for this layer, you can see you have the cutout subject. Okay, so let's turn this back on. All right, let's create a new composition, and we're gonna set the width to 5000 and rename this Carousel. Hit OK, and we're gonna create another composition. This time we're gonna rename this 1 and 1080 by 1920, which is a vertical resolution. Hit OK, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and select this rounded rectangle tool, double click. We're gonna drag inside this footage. By the way, I have a bunch of assets, so I'm gonna drag just below the shape layer, and I'm gonna set this track matte to the shape layer, and we're gonna duplicate this shape, Control D, and we're gonna turn this on, and we don't need the fill, we just need a stroke. You can pick any color, and you can increase or decrease the stroke depending on what you want. So I'll stick with 5 pixel. Okay, so what I have is this, and you can see the timeline. The footage ends here, and we have some more blank frames here. So we're gonna right click, select the footage, right click, we're gonna go to time, enable time remapping, and we're going to add a little expression to this keyframe. Hold down Alt and click on this and type in loop out, which is this one. Select this, and you can just click away, and you can extend this here. Okay, so if you play it back now, it's gonna loop the video throughout the timeline. Okay, so we have some audio, so let's just shut off the audio for this video. All right, so if you go here in the project panel, you have the pre-comp here. So what I'm gonna do is create a folder to stay organized, and I'm gonna rename this pre-comps. Okay, so I'm gonna drag this pre-comp 1 inside this folder pre-comps, and what I'm gonna do is duplicate this, Control D to duplicate it, double click to go inside this, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to replace this footage with a new one. So let's go to the asset folder, and I'm gonna replace this with this new footage. So the easiest way to do is click on the footage, hold down Alt, and drag the new footage on top of this, and that will replace it. And I'm going to do this for the rest of the footage. I'll just do that and I'll be right back after that.
Tomorrow.
All right, I'm done with that. So you can see here in the pre-comps folder, you have 8 pre-comps. So I'm going to close these 8 pre-comps, and I'm going to go inside this carousel comp that we have created earlier, and I'm going to select this pre-comps, drag and drop it inside that, and hit S and scale it down to 50, or maybe even smaller than that, maybe 35. All right, I'm going to set that to 40. Okay, so make it 40, and I'm going to distribute this across the screen. So select this one, go here, 2 here, 3 here, 4, 5, move it here, and 8, move it here. So you have uneven spacing here. So the easiest way to fix this is select all the layers, go to align. If you don't see this align, go to window, and you will find the align tool here. Okay, so select all the layers, and I'm going to select this. Make sure you set this to selection and hit this, and that will distribute evenly on the screen like that. Okay, so select all of this and maybe center it somewhere here. Okay, so once you have this, we're going to turn off this audio and select all the layers again. Hit P, hold down Shift and R. Make sure you turn this at 3D layer. I almost forgot that. Make this at 3D layer. So P and Shift and R on the keyboard. Okay, selecting all the layers, hold down Shift and page down twice on the keyboard. Set a position keyframe and Y rotation, and set this Y rotation to 2, and go back to the first frame, and I'm going to set the position down out of the frame somewhere around here, and I'm going to set the Y rotation to 0. Okay, and if you go back to this keyframe, from here, hold down Shift and page down once, and I'm going to record a blank keyframe there for the position and Y rotation. Make sure you're still selecting all the layers so that you have the keyframes recorded for all the layers. And I'm going to go back to the previous keyframe here. If you hold down Shift and scrub the current time indicator, it will snap it to the exact keyframe. Okay, so I'm going to go up somewhere here. Okay, and I'm going to go to the next keyframe here, and I'm going to go one more time, which is hold down Shift, page down once, and I'm going to record a blank keyframe once again, and I'm going to go back to the previous keyframe. So this time I'm going to move the position down somewhere here and select all the keyframes. So I'm going to hit the tilde key on the keyboard and select all the keyframes. Right click on the keyframe, keyframe assistant, easy ease, and I'm going to change the graph. Go to the graph, and I'm going to change this point to something like this, and I'm going to grab this, change something like this, And I'm going to change this to something like this, and the last keyframe, and tweak the graph to something like this. Okay, and if you preview this, let's see what we have. All right, we have a very smooth animation. So let's go back to the normal timeline and make sure you turn on the motion blur for all the layers. Okay, so if you go back to the main composition, let's just rename this composition, Control K, and I'm going to rename this main comp. Hit OK. So once you have that, let's go and import that carousel pre-comp inside the main composition, and what you'll have is this. Okay, so I'm going to apply an effect called CC cylinder, and right away you can see the cylinder effect. If you go to the effect controls, go to the rotation, you can change the rotation however you want. So first of all, I'm going to animate the Y rotation. So I'm going to give an expression here. Hold down Alt and click on the stopwatch, and I'm going to type in time times 50. The higher the number, the faster the rotation will be. Okay, so you can input your own values here. All right, let me leave that for now at 50. You can adjust however you want. The lower the values, the slower the rotation speed. The higher the values, the faster the animation speed. Okay, so let me keep that for now, and I'm going to change this blending mode to screen. Let's just go to render and select this to outside, which means we have only the front side. Okay, so let me just rename this front, and I'm gonna duplicate this G, and I'm gonna change this to inside. Okay, and I'm gonna change this to back, and I'm gonna move this just below the roto layer so that we have at the back side. So just shut off the eye for the front. You can see that the back is here. Okay, it's that simple. So if you want to change the rotation of the X now, you can see that only the front is changing, so the back is still the same. So we have to go and change the back manually like this. So that's kind of a problem. So in order to fix that, let's go and collapse this back and go to effect, cylinder, and rotation. And I'm going to link the X rotation with this front X rotation. So I'm going to collapse this, and that's very simple to do. Let's make some room here. Go and select this X rotation, hold down Alt and click on this stopwatch, and I'm going to pick whip to the X. And if I go now to the front and change the X, you can see it's changing like that. That's very nice. You can also link this to the position also. So I'm not going to do that. Okay, and maybe I'm going to push the position a little bit to the left side. Okay, so I'm going to change the position of the front to X somewhere here. Here, I'm going to copy this. You can always link the position as well. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just manually go inside and copy paste the values here. Okay, so that's the exact position. And right now we have some rotoscoping issues because we have the monitor here and the foreground element somewhere here. So I'm going to duplicate this footage, Control D. I'm going to bring it to the front, the top layer I mean, and I'm going to select this pen tool, and I'm going to zoom in and mask this out. Okay, simple as that. I'm going to mask this out, and I'm going to hit M, set this to none for now, and I'm going to change the mask. I'm going to make the mask. All right, let me hit MM and set the mask one to add. and maybe feather it. Hit F to bring up the feather, 5 pixels each on both the mask. And if you see that now, before it was like this, and now we have this. So what I also did was add a glow. Select the front layer, and I'm gonna add a glow, and I'm gonna change the glow size, intensity. You can play with the settings of this glow however you want. I'm gonna copy this and paste this to the back layer. Okay, now that we have that set up, it's static. It's a static shot, but we're gonna introduce some camera shake. So I'm gonna go to the project panel, and I'm gonna import the second footage to the new composition, and which is this one. And what I'm gonna do is Control K to change the settings. We'll name this to render, and I'm gonna pre-compose the footage. Control Shift and C, and camera shake, and move all attributes. Hit OK, and I'm gonna select the layer and select this warp stabilizer, and I'm gonna wait for After Effects to stabilize this. All right, once this is done, you can go inside this camera shake, and I'm gonna delete this footage, go to the project panel, and I'm gonna import the main composition inside this camera shake. Okay, so if you go back to the render, and if you play it back, you will have the camera shake. Watch this next video if you want to learn more on these types of effect. This is Motion Designer, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.